Fire in the hole. Tell me what's going on.
Well, I don't know about you, but when I got interested in the whole flat Earth theory, it was during actually, and I was on let's say some sort of protest against the whole lockdown, whatever. And we had marched from the Capitol to another building, and there was two people at a high school giving out tracts on flat Earth, and they were Christians, and I was kind of offended at the time because I thought, it's hard enough to get people, to believe in anything but atheism these days, and here these people are just throwing the, Christianity under the bus, making it look stupid with flat Earth. So I set out for the next, I guess it was 2 years, to try to disprove the flat Earth, and I guess I came out the other side. And it was when I first started looking up into flat Earth, I was coming across all sorts of craziness, like a flat disc floating in space. Just the most. I just put it aside for a while, and then I went back to it after one of your videos, and I had left it. I'd been out of the country many times. I started making measurements on maps to try to see, like, is this the right geography? Do we have the right landscape here? Are these miles calculating right? And when I looked between the globe and the flat Earth, where I was heading with different spots on the Earth, the flat Earth was making more sense, and I got hooked on your videos, and I guess you're the one that pushed me over the Earth, I guess you could say.
over the edge, fall off the flat Earth. As long as you didn't fall into heliocentric space, you're good to go.
Right, I didn't fall on a turtle's back or anything, but
now I'm not ruling that out. they might be onto something,
Yeah, before the show, we were talking about the turtles with the 13. I guess you could call them the shape of the back of the turtle, and how that used to be used for the calendars back in the day, but that's a whole nother story. So.
Yeah. The turtles are amazing. If I just search turtle here, this is a turtle's back is a calendar. It's got the 13 moons of 28 days, and then you have 28 days. I'm showing it. There you go. 28 days around the outside. Weird.
Yeah,
it's just a coincidence.
Yeah, right.
So Mark's a little new to this, and in fact, he just became a flat earther yesterday, from the sounds of it.
Well, here's the thing, Mark. You were the one that is not so sure, right? When you signed up for this.
I had to do a little extra research.
We have the same. Everyone has the same story. Thought it was stupid. Tried to disprove it. It's like if you're a researcher and you're like, okay, I want to study what XYZ. You go looking for the truth. To become a flat earther, no one goes looking, very few go looking for the truth. They go trying to disprove it, which isn't really a good way. But again, we all try to disprove it because of the brainwashing, the lifelong programming. And when you try to do that, that's when you see. And once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Right. Yeah.
The problem is, they've literally hypnotized people so well that people adamantly refuse to look. Even smart people that scientific, people that are open-minded, flat Earth is a step too far. It was a step too far for me. But then my friend Sophia Smallstorm, she made me look, and I was pissed. Here I am, flat Earth Dave, 10 years later.
Yeah.
So it's Overflowing Cup. We kind of go down a different rabbit hole. We kind of go into the lost books of the Bible. And it's interesting that all these lost books mention more flat Earth than what our 66 books do now, which is an interesting number.
Yeah, I love this quote. The Bible isn't proof of the Earth being flat. Flat Earth is proof of the Bible being true.
Right. And we just went over the Book of Enoch, and the Book of Enoch, it has a whole cosmology listed in there, and the way everything's set up, it's only making sense on a flat Earth. And I kind of brought that up in our discussion on our podcast that we do at the Overflowing Cup, and I think it kind of goes over a lot of people's heads at our congregation. So maybe you can go over a little bit of the scientific stuff, how it works and what, just for the people that are listening, because they don't really have a very good understanding. Like this Mark yesterday became, he's a little bit on the edge now.
Mark,
so.
what if you're on the edge, that must mean there's something holding you to the globe. Hopefully it's not gravity, but what is it that has you not 100%, I don't want to say flat Earth, convinced that the Earth is not a wet, lumpy rock spinning in a natural law defying space vacuum?
I came into this with, well, first off, I'm a pastor,
Okay.
and one of the things that kind of blew my mind was listening to people like Timothy Alberino and Michael Heiser talking about books like Enoch and a more accurate interpretation of the books we already have. And I kept noticing that things just don't line up. And especially when you get into the book of Enoch, where it has, after the story of the Watchers, which is at the beginning, which everybody, I think people are pretty familiar with by now, but it gets into the cosmology and the times and the seasons. And it's very, very detailed. And I've never heard anyone say, no, this isn't accurate. And we should forget the book because these things aren't scientifically accurate. And it bothered me when I read that because obviously if this information were inaccurate, that would be the first thing people would attack. They would say, "Oh, well, that doesn't line up with science. That's not proven." And it sort of opened a door to thought that maybe this might not be what I think it is. But you said something that kind of blew my mind. Well, first off, the whole sphere with water on it and the water not flying out everywhere kind of rocked my world. But when you were talking about the times and the seasons and how they just don't add up, but then when I went back to the Bible and started thinking about it, wow, actually, the explanation that you're positing is much more plausible than the science that we all learned in school. Really, I have no particular dog in this fight, other than that I've been indoctrinated like everyone else who went to school.
And people say, well, what difference does it make? It's not a salvation issue. I still have to go to work on Monday, or I still have to go to school, depending. And these are just, I actually said it too. I was like, what difference does it make? And that's where they want you, because the bottom line is the scientific evidence is there. All of that goes right back to the Bible. You don't have to use the Bible though, because if someone's not a Bible believer, then nothing you can quote out of the Bible is going to make any difference. But science, everybody has to pay attention to science. The only science for the globe is pseudoscience. There's absolutely nothing. People go, oh, there's a million proofs of the globe. Give me one, I say. I offer 3 Bitcoins for 1 globe proof, right? No one's claimed the Bitcoins yet, all right? They've tried to, but it's a complete and total nonsense. And, if you look at the Bible, like the earth takes shape like clay under a seal. Can you give me a globular explanation for that?
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
The God stretched, separated the waters from the waters, created the firmament. Then for the great flood, the windows of the heaven opened. Were you around when we had the debate with Greg Locke, Pastor Greg Locke, in his mega church down in Tennessee?
No.
That's another pastor?
Yeah. So it was Pastor Dean Odell, who's a big flat earther. And, but Greg Locke, he didn't want anything about it. So, long story short, Dean presented 40 correct biblical passages that you couldn't deny. And then Greg didn't address any of them. And he just went to a list that he found on the internet of things flat earthers claim, which was a troll list, which was like 2% good. And the rest was nonsense. So he literally, just strawman us. But the reason I'm telling the story is one of the points there is Pastor Dean Odell said, the opening of scrolling back to heavens and letting the waters flow in. And he asked Dean, do you understand, that what that means? And Pastor Locke denied it. And then he ended up throwing Dean out. He goes, that's out of here. You're out of here. He throws the microphone. He's like, the thing's over. Funny story. A couple months later, there was a freak snowstorm in Tennessee, and so much snow fell on Pastor Locke's church that it collapsed. Okay. Right. The sky opened up, the waters came in and literally flattened his church. Luckily, nobody was in it when it happened. Right. So,
right.
God's got a sense of humor, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And what you believe matters.
Yeah.
It's vitally important. Yeah. I spend a lot of time in Bible studies going I spent 3 months or more just going through the first 11 chapters of Genesis, because if you don't understand the setup to the book and the point of it, then none of the rest of it makes any sense to me. And maybe I beat a dead horse too much, or I hammer on it too much. But again, if for my congregation, for the people I teach, if they don't get the why and understand the basic premise, then you can say all kinds of just ridiculous, stupid things. And, oh, well, it's there, it's in the book.
Well,
We'll pull things out of context and you can find a lot of things there.
there's two parts to waking up to flat Earth: looking at the evidence and then going, well, why the hell would they do this? What difference does it make? You need both, right? But I don't like to jump to the why would they lie, because we're only speculating about that, but it's pretty darn clear what it is. Look at the evidence first. And the gory example I gave is you walk into a room, there's 20 dead people, and you don't go, I don't believe it. What's the motive? I don't believe they're dead. No, they're dead. And look at the dead bodies. Well, we're going to show you the dead bodies today, the globe dead bodies. But I want to ask you a question. So, in the Bible, it says God created man from the dust of the earth. You know the quote, or
Right. Yeah.
God created man. So what is so man it comes in where is it? Something. Oh, there we go. They say so 99% of the mass of the human body is made up of 16 elements: oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, calcium, and phosphorus. And only about 0.85%, so less than 1%, is other materials. Okay, this is science today, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so people come in these different colors. We have people that come in all different colors, right? But when you look at Earth is made out of oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, calcium, and phosphorus. And it comes in the same shade of colors. How did whoever wrote the Bible, unless it was the creator himself inspired, how did they know that? And then God created man, and then he created Eve from what?
The rib?
From man.
From the rib. There's 206, how many bones are in the human body?
Okay.
There's 206, whatever the number is. Guess what? Only one of those bones is capable of regenerating itself.
Really?
Yeah, and it's the rib.
I did not know that. It's interesting.
Right? Evolution has no explanation for this.
Yeah, and the funny thing about Christianity is you'll see a pastor beat over people's heads, you need to believe in the creation story. Atheism is out, they'll say, if you believe in atheism, if you believe in evolution, you're a heretic, you're out of the church, basically. You can't conform with the 6-day creation and atheism. So they'll take that, but they won't ever say, like, they won't ever take the other part where, well, why do I need to be a flat earther? It doesn't matter if you're a flat earth or not, It's just kind of contradicting, because they want you to believe in this story of the creation, but then when they come to this part of the creation, well, then it's not a salvation issue. But if it's this evolutionary points, well, then it's a salvation issue kind of thing. It's just, I don't know. It's just, they pick and choose their battles, I guess. But
yeah. So Revelation 1:7 says, behold, he cometh with the clouds, and every eye shall see him. Right. So on a flat earth, we can understand how that happens. On a globe earth, how can it be? And so that came up during the Greg Locke interview. And Greg Locke goes, everyone's got cell phones now. They'll be able to watch on their phones. So Christians, when Jesus comes, if you live on a ball and you're on the wrong side when he comes, you'll be able to live stream. It'll be live streamed on YouTube. So
we can virtually experience it.
Yeah, make sure you have your phone with you for the when it happens.
Virtually visiting creator.
So on there's so many books, and also what you're going to hear, and also you're going to see, a lot of trolls show up. They follow me everywhere. They just make all sorts of empty claims. Their channels are empty. I call them globe proof channels because they have all the globe proofs there, zero content. Yeah. And they'll make all sorts of claims, but they say there's no proof of flat Earth. Otherwise, flat Earth would have shown us. We show you. I'm going to show you a lot here, and there's a million others. But on my app, the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, in the book section, there's a biblical section right here, and there's a new book that I just added, which I just almost finished reading, and it is awesome. Um, it's by Robert Smith. What's the name of the book? The name of the book is, whoops, go back. It's called Flat Earth, Reforming Biblical Cosmology. I encourage you to buy a dozen of them. They're cheap. They're cheap. And it's a thin book, easy reading. You could read it in one sitting if you want. But for your practitioners that are like, what's going on? Give them the book and have them read it. They can read it literally in, I don't know, if you're a fast reader, you can probably read it in 2 hours, maybe less. It's not long at all. And it's amazing. It's amazing. So you have to arm yourself. That's why I created this app. You have to arm yourself when you're talking to somebody about flat Earth, and they're like, "Well, what about this? What about that?" The app gives you access to everything at your fingertips. And for you, have a few of those books. Maybe put them in the pew in your. You have a church. You actually have a church.
Yeah. It's more a street ministry. We minister to a lot of people who are homeless, addicted,
So
that sort of thing.
if you bring up flat Earth, and by the way, I've seen flat Earth save people that have drug addiction, people that have depression, which those things are kind of related because, depression leads to drug addiction or whatever. And I think all of that comes from your eternal soul is the true you, your true self. Your mind, your conscious mind is your ego, okay? Your external self, if you will. And they've done such a good job at getting us to ignore our inner voice, the voice of God that's within us. And when our soul is screaming, listen to me, you idiot, right? And you don't listen, your soul gets depressed. And that is the foundation of depression, in my opinion. Okay.
Sure.
I've seen when people find flat Earth, their souls are thrilled. They become different people. I was always a good person. I did a couple of shitty things, probably. And not supposed to swear. Sorry. And that's not a bad word. It's a descriptive word. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a descriptive word. Right. And I find it for everybody. When you discover this, you literally become closer to the creator. Right. And you guys, I don't know if you know my story. I didn't believe in anything. I was spiritual, creation. I believed in evolution. I believed in mainstream science. I believed in nonsense. And then when I discovered the Earth was intelligently designed, that's the line. That's the demarcation line where once you cross it, you can't deny creation. There's a verse, and I always forget the number. It's where it says basically, once you see my creation, the Earth, you can no longer deny my existence. That's why they hide it.
Yeah,
that's why they hide it, because the people that have a good connection to the creator are hard to control. They're hard to control because they don't allow control meant the mind. They don't allow them to step over God, right? They don't have God at the top. It's God, you, and then maybe you can put the government below you if you want, right? But they don't want people there. And when you discover flat Earth, you can no longer deny creation. Heliocentrism, all right, there's a God. It's kind of diluted, it's expanding billions of miles an hour into nothingness. You can make excuses, but it literally dilutes God.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. When you think that God is a million miles down the road or a million light years down away from me, he's not going to see what I'm doing here. Well, instead of having God right above us, looking down on us, it makes a little bit of a difference when you think that you're more under a spectacle and God looking at you from billions of miles away than just maybe a few thousand miles up, Think
about this. Your subconscious is very smart. Your subconscious analyzes everything. Your subconscious looks at everything, right? And if your foundation is the heliocentric, nonsensical model, okay? If your foundation is literally, should be a little quicker, is literally this, right? We're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, orbiting at 66,600 miles an hour, chasing the sun at 500,000 miles an hour. Everything's going around. All the stuff is moving. Universe is expanding. If it's expanding, what's it expanding into? Nothingness or itself, right? The sun is burning 640 billion tons of helium and hydrogen every single day, but never gets any smaller, right? The three-body problem doesn't exist. Your mind looks at all of this. And then when you think about God, you discount it. You're like, no, like you because you don't have any foundation, right? when you understand that we are at the center of creation, then you have a foundation.
Where are the foundations of the earth on that? According to the Bible, the foundations, the cornerstone of the earth. I don't see any of that in that model you have there.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. If you are an intelligent person of any kind, and you encounter something that is simply not believable to you, then that sets up a trauma. That it sets up a situation where, why is it that everyone else can accept this and everyone else can get this and I can't? I must be a bad person. And that seems to be the carrot and the stick that pushes people away from God and pushes people into believing lies.
Well,
You want to fit in, don't you? I mean, we're told that from the time we go to school, our whole life. And
even before.
we deal with people every day who simply cannot accept the world the way they've been told it is. Only they'll turn to drugs or they'll turn to alcohol, or it's thinking. What you think matters. So we deal with people who think thoughts that don't serve them.
I think that the heliocentric lie is responsible for almost all negative activity, all depression, drug addiction, because those are tied together, as I said. I think it's responsible for greed. Yeah. It's responsible for everything, because heliocentric model, we're running out of fuel, we're running out of space, we're running out of this, we're everything's limited, we're going to get hit by an asteroid, it doesn't matter, there is no God, right? All that, it doesn't matter, right? But in the flat earth model, we're at the center of creation, we're all brothers. This place is limited, is not limited. There's abundance everywhere, enough for everybody for a million lifetimes, right? We're eternal souls. There's so much to it. And we're having experience in a soul system, a system made for souls to experience, for God to experience the world physically through our eyes.
It's as if God created a garden and then put us in it and said to watch over it and make it run.
It's amazing. And to understand, so when you talk to the anti-flat earthers, right? And they're either paid, I think most of them are just possessed. Okay, paid or possessed, it's the same thing, right? And we're in a spiritual war here. And how do you win a spiritual war? You convince everybody that there's no such thing as a spiritual war, right? That's how you do it. And they'll be like, if they can't hit it with a hammer, then you can't talk about it, right? So, but almost all of them are atheists. It's amazing. And they all have all the same beliefs. They believe what men say, trust men, not God. And the sky, they always point to the sky. Well, that light in the sky proves that the earth is a shape. Are we talking about the sky and the earth, or the earth? Which is there a difference between the sky and the earth? One's physical, as physical as it can be, and the other one is ethereal, or is non-physical. It's God's heavenly non-physical realm. I don't think there's anything solid in the sky other than the firmament. All right. And some of us don't even think there's a solid firmament, think it's energetic. Okay, could be. I don't know. I've never touched it.
Yeah, when we go through our apocryphal books, a lot of times it talks almost like 7 worlds above the firmament. It's almost like there's like other worlds up there, but they're not planets. They're just maybe called planes, you might say, or something. But that's kind of the layout that I get, especially in the Ascension of Isaiah. It talks about when Christ came down from the top of the heavens, went through all the other 6 heavens to get to the firmament, basically, and then he was lit through the firmament, or the windows of heaven, you might say, and then he got dropped down, and born obviously to Mary. But that's a whole other rabbit. But yeah, but it just seems something's up there. And even I don't know if you've seen it, but where there's an explorer that went out to the seas, and there might be stuff underneath us as well.
I think,
and the Bible says the souls of the unrighteous descend into the earth, and the souls of the righteous go up. Well, if there's descending, they got to be going somewhere down, right?
I think that there's another firmament. God separated the waters from the waters and created the firmament. There's a firmament above and a firmament below. Deepest hole ever dug is 7.5 miles, 7.8 miles, and they hit something they couldn't get through. They tried for years and years and years. And did you hear? About the Cora borehole, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
They dropped a microphone down there. Did you guys ever hear that?
Yeah, screaming.
Yeah.
Dude,
And the people around that hole you're describing, they also say at night they sometimes hear screaming coming in the direction of that hole. It's kind of interesting.
yeah, the when I heard that, like I just talking about it gives me chills. It was the craziest thing ever. Craziest thing ever.
Yeah, there's that castle. I don't remember the name of it out in, was it Romania? It's got a seal inside of it where nobody goes down because everybody who's gone down into that, I guess it's just a big pit underneath like almost like a manhole type of setup under a rug where people will go down there and they'll either just become possessed when they come back up or they won't even come back up. And but they hear screaming as well down there. You remember the name of that castle?
I don't, but it's the one where the castle itself seems to be not to keep people out, but to keep people from coming in.
Or,
In other words, it's not set up to actually live in. It's set up to be a wall around this hole.
Interesting. Here's the thing. Flat earthers, we don't know everything. We know that we only know maybe 1%. Globers think they know everything, and they know nothing. They know nothing except pseudoscience nonsense, right? They think that what kids are taught, this is the core of the earth and everything. So this is the crust. They drilled like 1% through this crust. And they were wrong guessing what they were going to go through that 1% every step of the way, but then they know the next 4,000 miles. Right. Cool story, bro. Cool story.
Yeah. What I heard you say on one of your podcasts about how if the center of the earth is molten, then how is it that the oceans get colder the deeper you go?
Well, think about thermal conduction. Is it thermal conduction? Heat travels through solid mass better than it does a vacuum. My Yeti cup has a 1/4-inch vacuum around it, and it keeps my tea hot for 2 days, right? So the core of the earth, they say, is hotter than the sun, and it's solid. How come it just doesn't radiate out? There's no scientific explanation for that. None.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the other things that discourages me with the Bible believers, you would think they would be the first person to say, oh yeah, now we can, finally, get conversions, proving that the Bible was right the whole time about the earth not being a globe and spinning through space. And it's almost harder for some reason to get them out of that indoctrination that the earth is a globe. I mean, I brought up the one person, because we were talking about space. I said, well, God's letting us go to space now. He's letting us explore the galaxies now, and he had such an issue with the Tower of Babylon. And then in the book of was it Jubilees and also Jasher, I think it says that the Tower of Babylon was 5 miles high, and the expanse of the base of it was like the size of New York City. And God had a problem with that because they say that God had a problem because they were trying to reach heaven to try to fight God, but now we can go in space. Now God's fine with it, I guess. I don't know.
Interesting story. This is a new photo they gave us of Earth, and if you look right here, the Earth is bulging out. That's like 1,000 miles or more. It's probably a couple thousand miles, right? So this is the new picture of Earth. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, it's so great!" What happened to the Earth? It's now an egg.
It's a blade.
Right.
Well, that's why there's a shortage of them now.
Yeah.
The Earth is taking up so much of it.
And this is the only photo that NASA claims is a real photo from the moon, right? Now NASA gets, I think it's $84 million a day, right? So they give us this picture, right? And they go, "Oh, that's amazing, right? Is that amazing, right? Is that amazing?" They give us this picture of the moon. How come the moon's not lit up? The sun's behind the camera, which is 1,000,000 miles away, right? Wait, what is that? I don't know what that is. I don't even know what that is. I don't know how they got in there. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing what they'll argue, right? This is the 1972 blue marble picture.
Took apart.
What's that?
Oh, sorry.
Rob Skiba?
Yeah, was that the picture that Rob Skiba took apart where he put it in Photoshop and basically you could see an outline of a square black outline around the moon, or is that something else?
Yeah. That's not the one. No, that actually is the picture that he did. I'm trying to see if I have it. I don't have it. Maybe this is it. Oh no, this is me photoshopping Earth, where I literally made a better Earth than NASA did. I fast forward here, and if we look, there's my Earth on the right and NASA's Earth on the left. I don't know. I think I did a better job. Hire me, NASA.
I think it's a raise.
Yeah. It's
64 million.
It's crazy what people want to believe. And now, here's another thing with all this AI stuff that's coming out. I don't know if you guys are keeping up. It's insane. And I think they had to release it now because there's too much evidence coming out for the old world and all of the stuff. Now they can just claim everything's AI. Oh no, that's fake. That's fake. I mean, there's videos that are like, if you don't have a discerning eye, you can't even tell that they're fake people, fake animals, fake everything. But so now there's just everyone's going to claim everything's fake. Well, you flat earthers say everything's fake. No, we proved everything was fake.
Right.
We proved it. We proved it before.
But as the truth about so many things come out,
yeah,
it's almost as if a few years ago the AI technology wasn't quite ready to be released to the public, so certain truths had to be held back for a few years until the general public could be inundated with AI, so that could be what everything's blamed on.
Yeah.
Celebrity doing something heinous, well, that's obviously AI. You see a politician doing something horrible, that's obviously AI.
Obviously, that's what they do with everything. And people like, well, they didn't have Photoshop back in the 1960s. They had friggin' AI long before that, right? This stuff is just being released to us now, right? This information, these computer chips and everything, this is old technology. This is old technology that's slowly being released to us. Education, so when you graduation, gradual indoctrination is graduation.
Yeah. Yep. Whole English language is pretty terrible. I'm finding out. I think there's a reason for them broadcasting English throughout the whole world, trying to get that one language that they want. And if you really look into where the English language came from, they say it was made, I think, 1100 or somewhere around there. They came up with it, but it was actually the first book wasn't published till just about the time of the King James, which is, the 1600s. It just doesn't make sense. Where were all these books for 400, 500 years if we had English for so long? And
they say it's a weaponized language, everything. They say good morning, that's good death, and weekend is your weekend after your work week made you weak for the weekend.
Right.
And there's so much to it, but you can also use it against it. We can use their technology against us. Zoom is a weapon, but we're using it against them. Our phones is a weapon that they're trying to enslave us with, but we can also use it against them. And our language, we can watch our words. Be careful. They don't want you to know that your words create your reality, and that you just have to be careful with what you say and what you do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. You spell, right? You learn how to spell when you're a kid.
Spelling.
And then if you're really fancy, you can do the cursive, and
right. And the magic, what magic wands are made out of? What kind of
Hollywood?
Wood? Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
They're made out of wood from the holly tree.
Yeah. So you can channel in on their programs, right?
Just a coincidence. Yeah. And here's this is why I've kind of dedicated my whole life into waking people up to this, because this is the one that unplugs you from the satanic heliocentric matrix. And once you unplug, you literally take your power back, and you have and then it's your choice what you do. But when you're plugged into the matrix, you literally don't have a foundation to stand on, pun intended. And it's hard to see how truly gifted and powerful and awesome this place is when you're floating through space in a scientifically impossible vacuum.
Can you go over the stars a little bit? Because that's kind of one of the things that really helped me when in decision making, like how far they are and what they actually look like.
Well, this is the star Sirius, right? And this is an interesting shot of the star Sirius. If you look at the Sirius satellite logo, it's very similar to this, but it's hard to get this shot. This was taken by Mikey Smith, and it's quite interesting. But optics have outgrown their lies. So here is we'll talk about I'll show you the stars in a second. So here's the star Sirius, right? It's kind of that big star in the sky, and then Orion a little bit smaller, right? But we can take our super zoom camera and zoom in, full zoom, and it becomes this big, right? And we can zoom in on Orion, and it becomes this big, almost the same size, a little smaller, right? So how do we zoom in on something that's 8.6 light years away, or 50 trillion miles, right? 50 trillion miles. My 125 zoom camera is going to make it that big. Okay. So now, okay, let's just pretend that it can, right? Well, to make this one almost the same size, I have to do it 52 million times farther. So 50 trillion miles times 52 million, and I'm still able to zoom it in this big? Or maybe they're the same distance and very close. When you bring the moon or the sun or a planet into focus, you can focus beyond it, make it blurry, focus back onto it, make it clear. You can focus before it, make it blurry, focus back on it, and then switch to the other one without changing the focus, and it's in focus.
Wow. Wow.
So you're saying the sun and the moon, if you switch from the sun
I
and the
think
moon,
everything is about the same distance away. All of it.
You know, in the book of Enoch, he said that an angel shows him that the moon and the sun are the same size.
Well, the moon and the sun are the same size. They tell us the sun is 400 times bigger and 400 times farther. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So they tell us the sun is 400 times bigger and 400 times farther. That's why they look like they're the same size. So scaling and variance are a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Sure.
So they tell us Polaris. You guys are in the north, right? You're in America. You can see Polaris.
Yeah.
They would make an eye. Okay? Yeah. So if our sun was a mile above our head, it would look like this. You look over the sky, it would be all sun. You move it 93 million miles away, it becomes the size of a coin held at arm's length, just like we see the sun, right? Double the distance, it's half that size. Double again 4 times. It's like the size of a pencil eraser. Double it again, it's going to look a lot like a star. That's 8 times as far, 8 times 8 light minutes, call it a light hour. At 1 light hour away, our sun looks like a star. At 2 light hours away, I claim you can't see it. Let's make it 24 light hours away, a light day. Absolutely cannot see it. Its angular size is too small. Its brightness is too dim, right? Because as things go farther away, the inverse square law takes the brightness down very quickly. So at a light day away, you cannot see our sun. AI will agree with that. Okay? It would be too small to see for the human eye. Polaris is 46 times bigger than our stars. So if we put Polaris at 46 light days away, you could not see it. Round it up to 2 light months. Round it up to a light year. Absolutely, positively cannot see it. They tell us it's 433 light years away when you couldn't see it at 1 light year away. And I'm giving a huge margin of error there to the globe side, right? But we see it with our naked eyes, right? The International Space Station is about the same size as an airplane, as a 747. A 747 at cruising altitude is a small dot in the sky, and you can see the shape of the plane, but you can't make out the engines. 5 miles, 7 miles up. Double the distance, you can't even see the airplane. That's 10 to 14 miles, right? The ISS is 250 miles up. And that's when it's directly over your head. When it's farther away, when you see it lower to the horizon, it's way farther away. Okay? So I watched the light that they call the ISS come up over my head. And then for 6 more minutes, I saw it going away. 6 more minutes at 17,500 miles an hour. It's going like 4,000 miles. And I could still see it. Right? Here's the problem for the globies, for the normies, the globies, whatever you want to call them. They haven't learned to think that through. You guys obviously have woken your brains, so you're able to think simple concepts through, but these are too confusing for the general public. They're fluoridated, they're actinated, they're poisoned with chemicals, and they're unable to think. Their pineal glands are calcified, they're toxic, and they're stuck in the television programming. And I read it in a book. I was taught when I was a kindergartner before I had the ability to discern, and that's my story. And if you can't tell me what it is, then it's what I was told it is, right? If I said, Mark, you stole the last cookie out of my cookie jar this morning, but you proved to me that you're not in Connecticut, I can't say, well, that doesn't matter until you tell me where that cookie went. You're guilty, right? That's literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It shows. Yeah. I'm not in my second trimester, by the way. I just eat cookies.
Maybe you did steal. Yeah. Maybe you did steal the cookie. Damn you.
Maybe.
Possibly. Maybe you had someone do it for him.
All right. So again, our this is by who did this? Space, not his name. Great guy on YouTube, on TikTok, who's got a telescope. Film stars. This is Betelgeuse. It's amazing. Look at that. Is that a friggin' burning ball of gas in a vacuum? He's going forward and backwards with the focus here.
Yeah.
But look at that. Look at those patterns. It's amazing. And is that a burning ball of gas 211 trillion miles away? Right? 1 trillion miles. You guys know how far 1 trillion miles is? It's 1 trillion miles. If we were going a mile per second for 1 trillion seconds, how many miles have we gone? Mile per second, 1 trillion seconds. 1 trillion miles. 1 mile every second for 1 trillion seconds is 1 trillion miles, right? How long would that take us in time? Do you know how long 1 trillion seconds is?
30,000 years.
31,000 years. You've heard it before. Most people go 2 weeks, 7 days, 2 months, a year. 31,000 years. Mark, I don't even think the Earth has been around 31,000 years. I think the Earth is way younger than that.
Yeah.
Right? This is I don't know what star this one is, but this one is amazing. Right? That to me. Go ahead.
Did you ever see that video of the guy doing experiments where he's putting lights inside of like a can of water or something like that?
A star in a jar.
How similar it looks. Yeah, how similar it looks to the stars. Yeah. It's just amazing.
God spoke the universe with sound. He created everything with a verse, a universe, one verse. So a burning ball. So gas law says gas, hydrogen and helium, for example, that's what stars and suns are made out of, which defy gravity here on Earth, always violently fill the available space. Right?
Yeah.
Except in space. Yeah. In space, they collapse upon each other and create nuclear furnaces that burn. Our sun, small one, burns 640 billion tons a day, but never gets any smaller over billions of years, and has gravity that can hold on to Pluto and ignore our moon. Right? When our moon comes around the Earth towards the sun, how come it doesn't speed up? When it goes away, how come it doesn't get tugged down a little slower? Right? The sun, the helium and hydrogen defying natural law, becoming gravitational, holding on to Pluto, which is an unfathomable distance. It makes no sense. I call it the helio-nonsensical model because it makes no sense.
Yeah, that's kind of what really pushed me into the believing that the Earth is not a ball with the stars. And like you said, the sun comes around for some reason. It can't. It's just gravity isn't strong enough to pull the clouds away from the Earth or the water. But somehow it's strong enough to keep all these planets and moons all rotating around the same orbit year after year. It's kind of crazy, something like that.
So I think it's Ezekiel talks about a star is like a wheel inside a wheel. Some of these stars look like they have spinning wheels inside of them. Is it Ezekiel? Is that the one?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw one of your videos this morning, actually, where you were showing I don't know if it was this one, but you were showing it, and yeah, it seems to fit Scripture.
It's a lot of things seem to fit Scripture. I want you to get that book. Get one for yourself, but get a bunch of them and lend them out to people that you talk to, or give them to whoever. They're amazing. To help somebody that's a Bible believer but thinks the earth is a globe. They're literally living in a contradiction. They're like, I am clean and sober, but I'm drinking alcohol every day. Okay, that's literally where they're living if they believe in the Bible but believe they live on a globe.
Right.
They're completely negating the most important thing in the Bible. This place was created for us.
Yeah, and if the stars are like billions of miles in circumference, just one star crashing to Earth, you'd think would be enough. But the Bible says they're all going to come to Earth.
Right?
Well,
Yeah.
that doesn't make much sense.
I don't know if you heard. I've told the story many times. Right? This a wheel inside a wheel. Look at this. What the hell is going on? This is Beetlejuice. Right? So when I was a young teenager, I was born in a Jewish family, non-practicing, and there was they were having a spring break trip with this group called Young Life, which was a young Christians group. I don't know if they still have it, and they were going to Bermuda, and I wanted to go. My friend was like, "Go ahead, you can go. It doesn't matter." Right. And it was awesome. And so the first day we were there, and I'd never been to a Bible study or anything like that. And they brought us out to this cliff overlooking the water, and they were going to do a Bible reading. I'm like, okay, a Bible reading. Let's hear. I knew nothing about it. I was a young, naive kid. And the first verse he read was the verse where the stars fell to the earth. And I disregarded religion and the Bible for 40 years after that. Because a star can't fall to the earth. That's ridiculous, right? That's ridiculous. The star would eat the earth. And that verse right there, because of my heliocentric belief indoctrination, made me disregard all religion for 40 years. How about that?
Yeah. Me and my atheist friend, when we were younger, would get into discussions. And he was saying, that the Earth is millions of years because the stars are consistently going farther away from the Earth. And if they were any closer, things would be impossible. And how can we, see these stars like they are,
Right.
And it was a whole discussion that we would go back and forth on because him being atheist and me being Christian. And they're trying to prove out of the heliocentric model how this is possible in the Bible when it really contradicts it.
They tell us the stars are orbiting each other. Like 90% of them are in binary orbits. And then we're going around our sun as our sun's traveling away. Everything's moving in all these different directions. But never do we see stars change positions, right? Never do. Now, there's some claims in some books. Never in all of recorded history that we can find have any stars changed position. Here is on a zero-G plane. They release all these ping pong balls. So this is what I imagine the stars would be doing. They're all changing position. They're all crossing each other's paths. Okay? This would happen daily. We'd notice like star constellations would move. Right? Look, this one is crossing in front of they're changing positions. This is how we would experience the lights in the sky. Everything would be changing positions. And then, of course, you turn the gravity back on and everything goes down. Hey, everybody, quick message that I'd like to share with all of you. Our lives are filled with toxins in our air, food, and even in the information we're taught. Avoiding them all is impossible, but helping your body detox doesn't have to be complicated. That's where Masterpiece comes in. Just 5 drops under your tongue twice a day, and that's it. Super easy, super simple, and it doesn't even taste bad. I've tried countless supplements, and while generally I'm pretty healthy, I didn't really feel much of an effect. But with Masterpiece, it delivered noticeable benefits. Check out the podcast I did with Terry from Masterpiece, linked below this video, or you can find links directly to Masterpiece on my website, flatearthdave.com, or in the shopping section on the app. The key to health is to detoxify. Now back to the show.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do we got? Um, yeah, and another thing was the boats going over horizon. I had to take the Rob Skiba challenge. So I went on a trip to Michigan, and we were over by St. Joseph, and I actually was able to see all the way across to Chicago with my wife's camera. I don't remember what it was. It was a Nikon something, but yeah, you can see it,
P1000.
and it's what 50, 60 miles away,
Yeah.
and what it's supposed to drop a mile every, what is it, a mile every,
Well, no, it's not the mile. It's exponential. It's
yeah,
exponential. At
yeah. So
at 100
over 1
miles.
mile, 6 inches, right?
Yeah. Well, it's thousands of feet at that distance.
Right.
At 100 feet, according to Globe Math, your horizon should be 12.5 miles away, right? So we see all these sailboats going out here, right? They're in a straight line, but if the Earth was curving, it would be curving from the beach to the horizon. So it should really look like that. But we never see that. Everything is on the same level all the time. All the time. Right? Here is let's see where we got this guy. So and things disappear from the bottom up for a couple reasons. So from here to here is the same distance as from here to here, which is the same distance as from here to here, which is again, it gets cut again and again and again and again and again, and you can't perceive any more depth here. It just all becomes your horizontal eye zone, right? So an orthographic view, as the boat moves away, it's going to get, let's just say it gets half the size, and then half that size, and then half that size, and then half that size, right? This is an orthographic view. No one ever sees this way. And then it's going to keep having in size, but it's never going to go past right here. This is just going to keep getting the same distance, right? So the sky does the same thing. It just wedges into that line. And so the sky ramps down, the water ramps up, and then you really can't see past this horizontal eye zone, I call it. So you got a 6 foot tall person here and a 3 foot boat, whatever. And when he's looking over the boat, you can see the water from here to here. Well, you know, he can't see the water from here to here. That's blocked by his view. You understand? Mm-hmm. Right? So the boat is blocking this much water, right? He can see over the boat, but he can't see this distance right here because the boat is blocking it. When we move it out, not making it any taller, he can't see the water between here and here, which is much longer. And farther, I'll make it smaller. As we move that out, he can't see the water between here and here. Understand? The farther out this goes, the more parallel his eyesight looks. And now he can't see the water surface from here all the way out to here. And as this thing goes farther out, you can't even perceive it. Literally will disappear. And he'll think he's looking straight out. This is merged into the horizon. And that's why you can't see anything beyond it. Follow that?
Yeah. I remember being in school, and one of the things I was taught was that Christopher Columbus discovered the curve of the Earth because, he was watching the boats go over the horizon. Well, obviously, with a zoom camera today, we can see the boats when we zoom back in. Yeah. An interesting thing is we had an auction house across the street at me from my house at the time, and they were selling everything from the Chicago Christopher Columbus Museum was there. So I'm like, well, that'd be interesting to look at. So I went over there, and I was looking at the stuff they're having for auction, and they had maps that Christopher Columbus supposedly used, and they weren't globe or anything by any means. They were better flat Earth maps, I would say, than what we have today. They were pretty detailed, and they did not account for any curvatures. Or maybe these were before he was able to update the curve. I don't know, but
and who knows if Christopher Columbus even
right, that's
the
the whole
ocean.
It's all. That's what they claimed. Yeah,
the cities were here long before Christopher Columbus. Chicago is fully built out. San Francisco is fully built out. Out here, they say this is Earth curve, but as we zoom in with our P1000, this is where it becomes miraging. And these are dolphins that are far beyond that line that are jumping up. They're jumping up. And they're like, hey, look at me. I'm jumping over the earth curve. Or they just beyond where you can resolve the surface of the water. These are way beyond this line. But when we zoom out, you can't see anything except this line. And like, oh, that's earth curve. It's easier to believe in the globe than to do the work and understand perspective, understand light attenuation, understand what the sky could be, understand all of this stuff. It's much easier to believe, right? You guys believe I'm in Connecticut. I think I told you I was in Connecticut, right? I said it earlier. You believe it. You don't know it. You don't know it.
Not unless some more cookies are stolen.
Yeah, it would take time. Let me see. Here's another example of that perspective. I got these pencils laid out on the floor, all equally spaced out to this bookshelf, right? So as I go down, you'll see that these take up more space here, and these get closer and closer and closer until you can't resolve them anymore. And so now if let me just stop it when I get all the way down. So when we look, we'll take the first three. So 1, 2, 3. That's taken up like 80% of the space from here to here. There's another 20 pencils all being compressed into this horizontal eye zone. So you have to imagine that this is the sky, right? Because if I push that wall back, it would just all be compressed and the sky would be merging right here where this bookcase is. That actually takes a little bit of thought, a little understanding, and they don't teach that in school. They don't teach any of that. I call that, what do I call that? I call that, I forget what I call it. I call it foreshortening. I forget the word. There you go. It's perspective brings the sky down, the bottom up, the outside's in, and the back forward. It compresses the distance forward. Foreshortening. That's what I call it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
One of the things I've heard you say before, this is kind of the same topic, but is you think that the Earth or the Moon? Well, if all the people will say that, well, what are the other planets? Are they all flat too? But with the Moon, I've heard you say that you think that the Moon is actually spherical. I'm kind of.
I don't know if it's spherical. It looks spherical to me. If we could find out today, and they say what shape is the Moon, I'd say spherical. It could be a disc. I don't know, but it makes no difference. The lights in your ceiling tell you the shape of the floor. Even though the lights are physical in your ceiling, I don't think the lights are even physical above us.
Right. Yeah. One of the things I thought about though is, so if you're in, let's say, the northern part of Canada and you're looking at the Moon versus being in Australia, you should be able to see some aspect of the Moon scientifically that you couldn't see down in Australia. Like if it was a sphere, you should be able to see, say, like,
you should be able to see like
more of the Moon.
Somebody over here could see this side, and somebody over here could see more of that side. Is that what you're saying?
Right. If this is the Moon, if my fist is the Moon and I'm down here, I should be able to see more down here, and the person above should be able to see more of the Moon. But that's not the case. We never see any more of the Moon than the people in Australia.
You can argue on a flat Earth, if it's a sphere, that people in Australia should be able to see more of that side of the Moon, and people in the north should be more of that side of the Moon. But I don't think that the Moon renders in our in our sky that way. So here is an example. So I've got a sheet dividing my room in half, and this is a light that's 10 feet on the other side of the sheet. Okay. And it actually looked amazingly like a sun. It literally looked like it looks like the sun. Right. So I'm looking at it, and my wife is over here, Paige, and I say, where do you see the sun? And she points, she goes, okay, she sees the sun. Hold on, let me go over. She sees the sun right there. So I put an X on the sheet right there. That's where she sees the sun. At the same time, I see the sun over here. She's seeing it over there. Mm-hmm. Right. So if the Moon is a light and it's being projected all over, we'd all see the same projection. It's like a whole bunch of TV screens in the sky with a moon. That moon is on the TV. Right. No matter where you are, wherever you see it, you're seeing the same moon in your sky.
Right. Yeah, I was looking into the Moon, what the ancients thought of the Moon, and they believe there's a spot somewhere outside of the Antarctic where the moon is actually being projected onto like a dome ceiling, which is pretty interesting. It's almost like it's being bounced off of a mirror and then it's being bounced to the sky, and that's the way they perceived the moon back in the ancient days. Apparently, a lot of cultures.
That's very interesting. There's the Freemason video about how the sun and the stars are being projected from the center of the earth, from the north. And all the northern stars are the real stars, and everything else is a reflection of the spinning of the northern stars. So, if you looked at it that way, all of the stars would be reflected into the south, and Polaris would be the South Pole star if it could reflect that far. And everything circles around. No matter where you are, you see the same rotation of stars. And people go, well, they don't look the same. They're being the same pattern. Well, not really, because we don't know how they're organized. How maybe they're close, somewhere closer and farther, and we don't know how the dome is shaped. So that's going to change the way they look. And somebody did an analysis of star clusters, number of stars and brightness of stars in the north, and was finding an unorderly amount of similar star clusters in the south that would be reflected.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because people have showed a separate orbit for the stars down by Antarctica. I don't know if this is true or not, but it's almost like we have our rotation up here in the north, and the southern far south, like beyond 60 degrees south, they have a second orbit that they can see in the south from where their perspective is doing its own little thing. So if that could possibly be reflection off the firmament,
there's a whole bunch of explanations for that. But the thing is, I'm more interested in the earth, right? I don't think we can figure out the sky. That's God's kingdom. And I think isn't there a Bible verse that we're not even supposed to take pictures of it or something? There's
a verse in Job that says, who can figure it out? And somewhere in the Job, there's an apocrypha Job, and Job is asked a question, and Job says, well, when you eat something, how does the body know to separate the food from the liquid? And his friends couldn't answer it. And then he says, well, how much more the stars, or where you can't, where you can't even go there, So, yeah.
I'm with you. This is a picture that Don Pettit, I think it was Don Pettit, on the space station. He took a time lapse. And so this is the North Star, and everything's making a perfect circle, but they're moving at 17,500 miles an hour. So this is a time lapse of the Earth. How did this stay centered?
There's some pretty good focus on that camera.
How does it stabilize? Right? This is a lengthy time lapse. This is got to be 5 hours easy. So he would have orbited the Earth 3 or 4 times in that amount of time.
But that's a still photo lapse, huh?
And where does he think he went?
You know what? I say all the astronauts are all liars, except maybe Don Pettit. He might believe he went to space. I think he's totally MK Ultra mind controlled, and and then the oldest living astronaut that's been doing the interview circuit and telling his stories from space. I think that he's just an old man that has been completely brainwashed and believes he went to space. That's easy to do. It's easy to hypnotize somebody and get them to that state.
All right. Have you heard of the conspiracy of the 3 astronauts, Buzz and Armstrong and the other one, that they came from Alcatraz? That there's actually 3 people.
I actually uploaded that video the other day. You might have gotten that from me.
No, I didn't. It was a few months ago. It was going around viral on TikTok or somewhere else. I saw it, but yeah,
I uploaded it because it's very interesting, and because if you think about it, you need 3 guys that will live their life and never spill the truth. Well, if you get 3 guys from Alcatraz, that they have everything to lose. If they ever open their mouth, they're going to be executed. Okay? You need 3 people that are willing to lie. Well, you got criminals, they're willing to lie. You need 3 people that are disconnected from God. They're most likely, that's how they got in that situation in the first place. And boy, do they look alike, all 3 of them. How about the one where Yuri, the first Russian guy, Yuri, whatever his last name was, and Buzz Aldrin, same actor. Not Buzz Aldrin. Who's our first guy in orbit? Not Buzz. Was it I don't know, but you put them side by side, same actor. Wouldn't the
Wow.
Russians tell on us if we faked them? They're all in it together. Separation of country is just an illusion.
Even getting the three criminals, you still got Buzz Aldrin kind of being a loose cannon there, spilling some beans. So they can even get three criminals to lie throughout their whole life. That's pretty sad.
Yeah, he's having a hard time. Here I got a suggestion. If any of you people in the know, that are sworn to secrecy and they're gonna, do something horrible and you can't do it, make a video. And I was trying to think, how could they get a video out? They could have a so when they die, it comes out. And I don't think they can make a video, upload it, and have it scheduled to just be on YouTube. Um, have it scheduled, and then they just keep rescheduling it. Like every time, every Monday he rescheduled it to the following Sunday, right? Or just keeps pushing it. That way, when he dies, it'll air. The problem with that is now AI can find that video. They can be looking for that. So the way they have to do it is you make your confession video, you do it in a way that can't be AI, right? Just make a great video, and then you compress it. You get a compressed file, whatever. What is it called when you zip it, and then you put it on a Google Drive or somewhere, some private drive, and then you make a YouTube video, and you basically in the video I would just do it with like broken type or something. Say, check if you're seeing this video, it's because I'm dead. Check the link in the description. And I think that could avoid AI. I think that could do it. What do you think?
So, yeah.
It's an
I don't know. I
idea.
would be more safe just doing a VHS, putting it out there and handing it to someone.
Who's got a VHS player?
I'd have to find one at the old elephant antique store or something. But
Yeah. No, some people still have it.
So I can test your theory. I'm in my 60s. Who knows how long I have to go. So when I confess about the great cookie theft of 2025, maybe I'll put it out that way.
Nice.
Yeah. It was all done with holographic images.
So why my question here is why, if they're obviously scared about people knowing the truth about geocentricity and whatnot, why haven't they shut you down yet? What is your theory behind that? There's got to be some reason.
They are trying everything they can. They're trying to, and the thing is, we have free will, and we have God, and I don't think they can touch us unless we allow them. We have to invite them in. It's like letting demons in. You have to literally invite them. You have to engage with them. I don't engage with them. They're trying everything they can. They tried TFE, which was, the final experiment, which is a non-experiment, is a false binary. And when I refused to go, they did everything they can to try to make me go. Right. And I said, no, this is a trap. This is a psyop. This is going to be a trick. I don't know what you're going to do. I don't want nothing to do with it. You're all demons. Stay away from me. And so they're doing everything they can to take me down, but I don't pay any attention to them. They don't exist in my world. So, if God doesn't have my back, then I'm a dead man.
I'm just a little surprised that they haven't tried harder, but maybe trying too hard would be anti-beneficial for them. I don't know.
The more they do, the worse it gets for them. The truth is coming out, and we when you understand that there's nothing to fear, because fear is the only way they control us. False evidence appearing real, FEAR, and that's what they do. That's what they do. They try to keep us in fear. They try to suck our energy. Like, you just go on my Facebook page, Flat Earth Dave. Facebook page, got over 100,000. I don't even know how many followers I have, but it's so many bots and so many trolls in there, and they just want you to argue with them. No, you flat earthers, you've never talked about sunsets. Deleted, banned, because I've always talked about sunsets. I always do. And the frequently asked questions page has the greatest, where does the sun go videos right here, right? They're great. All of them are being hidden by YouTube. Right? YouTube, Google is hiding all of them. ISS, fakery, eclipses. Eclipses prove the Earth is a globe. No, it doesn't. Eclipses, nobody's predicting eclipses. They come in patterns. They've been known long before the globe came in. Boats over the horizon, right here. Ships over the horizon. Circumnavigation, southern stars. It's got everything in it.
Yeah, I think they're even trying to shut down even past history. Like, for example, when I was a kid, I remember specifically sitting at the table with my sister, and she looks at me, she says, I think the Earth is flat. I said, what are you, crazy? You know? I said, where did you get that from? And she hands me this newspaper because I delivered the Daily Union back then for the town we lived in. And I read this article from some guy, had his picture, I think it was a whole page article of this guy explaining why the earth is flat. And of course, being myself back then, I dismissed it and I thought she was just a complete idiot. Went and told my friend she's an idiot. But now, when I learned the truth, I went back to try to find that same article from, I looked through years of that Jefferson County Union magazine, and I cannot find that article to save my life. It could be possible with a different magazine, but that was the only magazine, that was the only newspaper we could afford back then, with the free ones I got from my paper route. So I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know who that guy was back in the 80s. Was it 80s? Yeah, that was saying that the flat Earth, talking about flat Earth, because that was the first time I actually heard somebody not poo-poo, the thought of it being flat. And I can't find that article now.
What do you guys think of the ISS rescue recently?
I'm just glad. I'm glad they all made it back out of the water.
So this thing is falling out of the sky. It's coming in at like 20,000 miles an hour. And then it puts up a parachute, and the parachute doesn't just shred. Right? Then these are the braking parachutes. These are the ones that slow it down. This is impossible. And wait, how high is this thing? Who's filming this? Because they're filming the side of it, right? Like, what is going on here? Right. And then this is the top, right? We have a camera that's looking straight up on, look at these cords. These are heavy duty cords. Okay. and you have this. And then all of a sudden the bigger parachutes are going to come out. Let's go forward a little bit here. So the big parachutes open. So what's them open? Oh, back a little bit. So are these things? This thing is going thousands of miles an hour. Look, they're opening like it's a featherweight coming down.
Yeah, my favorite video that you put out was the one with Captain Kirk falling from the sky.
Yeah.
With absolutely nobody to rescue this poor 80, 90-year-old man, whatever he is, and no medics. That was my favorite.
Yeah. And so check this out. So you got these guys, and there's these three humans are in this tiny little capsule, right? We have to believe this, right? And hang on. So here it is. This is running in real time. Is that even descending? Look at it. What is that? Look at it. That thing should be coming down so fast.
Yeah.
It's just
the light your way.
It's just hovering, right? So let's jumping forward because it's going to take forever, right? And then first, who's filming this? Right, the boats are way in the distance. This is a drone, and watch how cinematic this is. This is amazing. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So splashes down, and then you got these parachutes. They just float, and then they melt into the water. And you got this camera, look, doing a panoramic. It's going around. Look at these beautiful parachutes. Look at this. Look at this. And then they just melt into the water. Where are the ropes? Where are those heavy ropes? Where's the hole that the camera was looking up at? Where's the hole? Right? So let's go a little farther. So here are the boats in the distance, right? But somehow some guy's got the drone. He's filming around. This thing is tiny. Where are those three people sitting side by side with elbow room? Okay. They're sitting side by side with elbow room in this thing. Wait till the boat comes up so you can see how small this thing is. There's no opening. Right? You got the parachutes over here. No cables. Where are the cables? Where are the cables?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Let's get the boat over here. So the boats are coming to distance, but that drone, he's amazing. Look how small this thing is. And you got those guys in there. And look how calm the water is. You guys ever been out at sea? Is the sea ever? It's rarely this calm, but every time they land something, it's always this calm. It's always.
You don't want to come back in a storm.
And then they had the dolphins. Did you see the dolphins?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, they jump in the shark there. Right?
Well, I was told that they're not getting overtime for their extended stay, though, so I'm hoping they get reimbursed somehow.
Right. So here, this is a guy doing a Red Bull stunt with a motorcycle jumping off a ramp, and then he's got a parachute, and the motorcycle has a parachute. So there's his parachute, and the motorcycle's parachute just shreds because the weight of the motorcycle going maybe 50 miles an hour down, and it hadn't even sped up yet, shredded the parachute. Okay? Watch. His parachute, and then this thing is just speeding up, shredded. But we expect that thing to come down and those parachutes to lollygag up there and just float. It's just so nice, right? And then I want everyone to know, I'm going to say it. So many people sent me the video and go, what do you think about this, Dave? How do you explain this? I explain it is that you must have gotten your third booster and you're eating fluoride by the bowlful, okay? Because you're not thinking. All right?
Trump's going to get rid of the fluoride, I heard.
A motorcycle at 50 miles an hour, even 100 miles an hour. But that spaceship, which weighs tons, coming at thousands of miles an hour, no problem with the parachutes.
Were the medics out there for this one, or did they not show up this time either?
I don't think there's any medics.
Going that fast and that small little parachute.
And people are like, well, where did it come from? Where did it come from? I think it came from here. I think it came from the back of a C-130 where they just dump it out. And there's no people on there, right? There's no people on there. This is just an empty shell that's being dropped in, and then they do their little magic. It's not even in real time. It's probably filmed weeks ago, because they can't count on. And I think it was all filmed in a pool. Remember the show Flipper, right? Flipper was always in a pool, and they just spliced it in and made it look like the boat was following them stuff. That was back in the 60s, 70s, whatever it was. Now you don't think you can do that? And look at these parachutes again. But this thing's going thousands of miles an hour. This one doesn't even open. Right? Oh, we're account for if one parachute doesn't open, they'd only be going 5 miles an hour faster. How fast is this going? People, use your brains. Use your brains. Look at this. It's just wafting in the air. Just wafting. Oh, thank God they're open. Right? This is what they did in the 60s, 70s, and are still doing it today, and people are just buying it.
Yeah.
Now, I actually think that back then, they might have had men in there. They might have actually dropped men in there, but now it's too dangerous.
Some prisoners or something,
No, the prisoners, the tall guys. Right, exactly.
Yeah, it's like when I was a kid, the Challenger was the biggest thing, when the Challenger blew up, and find out that pretty much all those people could possibly still be alive it's pretty nuts.
There's
my friend
case
was
going on about that.
Yeah, my friend actually went to the space programs. He was so into this. Every year, his parents would send him down, I think, to Alabama to the space programs. And when he saw that on TV, literally his whole family was in tears.
I was traumatized. I watched it. I remember I was in New York City at the time as my office, and it was horrible. It was horrible thing. Kids were traumatized. Go ahead, sorry.
I was in the Air Force. We were in a auditorium watching it as a squadron, and it was sickening.
I put up a video the other day called, where did I put it up? It was, where did I put it? It was a show that's on Netflix it had a scene from the Challenger. Where did that video go? That's very strange. Maybe I didn't make it public yet. Hold on. I want to actually play it for you. It's pretty good. Your video. So maybe it got taken down. Friggin' YouTube has been deleting stuff left and right. It's crazy. Old videos, amazing. Yeah. So it was basically about a kid. I don't want to give it away if I'm going to play it. A kid that all the kids who are in school were traumatized. They're like, oh my God, this is unbelievable that this happened. And here it is. It's let me see if I can share it. It's too long. It's too long. Actually, let's play it. I'll only play the beginning. You up for that?
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So go share screen. Share screen. You know, it's going to be too complicated. Basically, though, the kid, the family's trying to talk to the kids, and it basically goes to the kids like, "You want to talk about it?" And the kid's being real quiet, and the kid just looks at his father, and goes, "It was just a story on TV. It wasn't real." Pretty good.
Wow.
You can find it on my DITRH channel, and it's called "This Is Us," and it's the Challenger 1986, and it came from the show called "This Is Us." So that's the name of it. Oh, it's on the Flat Earth Clock Up channel. That's why I didn't see it.
Well, that was an actual video that was played back then after the Challenger.
Well, no, it was about the kids in 1986 and went to school and they were watching the Challenger. They're all excited. And then it happened and it showed real time how these kids were traumatized and all these kids are dealing with it differently. And the father's talking to the kid that night, like, "You want to talk about it? It's okay." And he goes, "It doesn't matter." The kid was just like, "I just want to watch TV. It was just a story on TV. It wasn't real." Basically, truth in our face. They're always sticking the truth in our face. Pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you have the app, just search "This Is Us" in the search, the video search button right here, and it comes right up.
I watch a lot of videos like that from the 80s. Or kind of, who was that comedian that was kind of abrasive? He's the one that said that's one big club and we're not in it.
George Carlin.
Yeah, so he had like a children's network, I think, back in the 80s or something.
Yep.
And he was always saying how NASA was lying to us, and he'd have kids in the audience and in the skits, and it was pretty interesting even back then how risky he was being.
I mean, they're always telling. No, that's why he's dead. They're always telling us in all of these shows. Kids back in had everyone. They gave everyone a globe. This is at the beginning of the indoctrination. Everybody got a globe. It's kind of interesting. And then the show Sesame Street, that's another one, right? This is a scene in Sesame Street. They're talking about the library and about fiction and nonfiction. Look what's in the fiction section: a globe and a rocket. That's no accident. Right?
Yeah.
Crazy world. All right, guys, any final questions?
No, I'll leave it up to you.
No, I think I've put them all out there. I don't know if you want to tell people where they can find you or what, but
you can find me at flatearthdave.com. All my social media stuff is there. I've been doing a lot of posts. You can find me on X, on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Pinterest, on everywhere. And all of the links are at flatearthdave.com. Check out the crash course. Check out my app. It does it bypasses YouTube censorship. It's $3 one-time charge. But on the app, we have a friend finder. Like, we turn on the friend finder, and it'll show you all of the other people that are near you. I'm just going to show you a worldview real quick. People say, "Yo, flat Earth is dying." No, it's not. It's growing exponentially. These are the people that are on it, and you could actually find people near you with like interest. Well, everyone on here has a like interest, but if they're single, you hit the dating section here. But the dating, the profiles, the social media part requires a subscription, and it's $11 a year. Okay, $11 a year. And if that's too much for you, in the friend finder, you go click the middle button here, and that's your referral area. You'll have a random number here. Just change it to whatever you want, up to 7 characters. You can make it 1 letter if you want. Anything you'll remember. And when you tell people about Flat Earth and show them the app and they download it, they put in your referral code and you get a point. And if you get 11 points, you get a free subscription. Easy.
Yeah, I noticed you can't Google your name, because my son was asking who I was doing a podcast with last night, and he found a lawyer and he found all these other David Weisses, but apparently he didn't find you. So
that's why you go to flatearthdave.com. All the links are there. If you don't want to get the app, to scroll down to the crash course. You see a big picture of me. It says crash course. Watch the first 4 videos in there, and you're going to be a flat earther, period. And Mark, There's a biblical section right here. And there's great stuff here. Biblical Cosmology Remastered. This girl, Kay Podge, she's absolutely amazing on TikTok. Amazing. All sorts of random videos here. But this Biblical Cosmology Remastered, that is a course in itself. You can set your sermons up after that. It's amazing. Marty Leeds does a sermon every Sunday morning. Amazing. You watch his old ones or watch them live every Sunday morning, I think 9 Eastern or 10 Eastern. Woo, going down. And just lots of good stuff and more stuff coming. And then I don't know if you guys have looked into the old world. Old world stuff is absolutely mind-blowing. Have you looked into it, Mark?
Yeah.
You guys watch My Lunch Break?
Yep.
I have, yeah.
Yeah. You got to watch all of his stuff. And Jake, I'm the Improbable Dreamer. Amazing. If you're brand new to it, watch Old World Order. That's a great starting point. And there's all sorts of stuff. There's really, really good stuff. Autodidactic, fantastic. Bunch of other stuff. Great movies right here. This guy is absolutely amazing. Our history in a different view. And all sorts of other stuff on here too. That bypasses YouTube algorithm. I just tell people, here's the challenge. If you think I'm stupid and you think the earth is a globe, you must have a reason. So if you can come up with one legitimate reason the earth is a globe, you win 3 Bitcoins. But the challenge is, don't waste my time. Every day, watch the daily video right here. So when you're having your tea or coffee, just click that thumbnail, watch that video, do that for 2 weeks. And at the end of that 2 weeks, send me your globe proof. But in reality, you're going to send me an email going, I'm a flat earther now. Because there's no other way to see it. If you don't become a flat earther, you can have other issues.
All right.
All right, guys.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank
with
you.
us. And
all right, man. Thanks so much.
Yep. Enjoy. Have a good night.
Good night.
Hey everyone, if you enjoyed this interview, please help support my work and help wake up others by referring or gifting the app to at least one person today. By doing that, you're going to help wake people up and help me to continue doing other interviews like this. With the censorship out there that's going on, it's very difficult to find relevant information, and the app, as you know, brings people to the truthful information of our world. So help support my work, help support your efforts in waking up friends, family, and strangers. Gift them the app or just recommend the app. And let's make 2025 the year Flat Earth breaks free. Check the links below for information on how to gift the app or just refer the app to others and use your referral code to earn Dome cryptocurrency and a free subscription. Thanks.